the identified Nordic issues as we found in the first project, and connect them with the local questions from each ITS organization and vice versa. So we will have more insight and more knowledge together. And short about the webinars that we had within the project. The first one we had, it focused on inclusive design of cities, and we discussed a lot of questions, both about traffic safety in Sweden and in Helsinki, where they have a speed limit of 30 kilometers per hour in the city. And that is to make it more livable, and it's also a very interesting gender equality question, actually. And we also had examples of inclusive design when it comes to bike seats for kids, for example. In the second webinar, we focused more on women's careers and the leaky pipeline, as we found in the first project. And the leaky pipeline is shortly just how we can see women disappearing from the transport sector in different stages of their career. So we had a lot of interesting discussions when it comes to the work application process, but also we had examples from women in the sector. They were sharing their experiences, so it was very interesting. And after this webinar, we will send out an email, and in this email you can find a link to the recordings and see the webinars now if you want to. So we hope you will do that. It was very interesting.
We will send an email also with links to the recording, and also the articles that we created, so you get a good overview. I see perhaps we have an issue with recording. Pia, is it recording or shall we?
Yes, it's recording now.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. So yes, as you can see, here's a photo from ITS Congress. I borrowed this photo from ITS Denmark because our people who were there, they were speaking at the time. So we hope also to capture, maybe some of our colleagues have taken additional photos, but this was something I found on LinkedIn that we had a chance to present it at the Nordic Pavilion. And I hope maybe Jenny, later when we start to share from each organization, you can just say 2 words because you were presenting on behalf of ITS Norway. I know I did not ask you to do that before, but if you feel like sharing just 2 words, how it was. Yes. But before we go to and share more about the events, we have a wonderful external speaker today, Michala. She's from Denmark. She's a researcher and has a PhD. So I also have a short video. I can quickly introduce her. So she works within the fields of climate, sustainability, transport, and gender and diversity, and has been involved in a wide range of national and international research projects. She has cooperated with various stakeholders within the transport area, including politicians, planners, designers, and NGOs, and has disseminated knowledge about the social dimensions of transport and advised on perspectives of gender and diversity in transport and mobility. She is increasingly interested in disseminating knowledge in new ways and has developed learning games about the social dimensions in transport and mobility. So I will stop sharing because, Michala, I think you want to share your own screen.
Yes, I will try. Just a minute.
And then remember to put the share sound as well.
Can you see my presentation? It's not in presentation mode, I guess.
It's not in presentation mode.
So, thank you for inviting me for this webinar. It's very interesting to hear about your project. I guess there will be time to hear a little bit more about it afterwards, or after I talked. I will talk about a project called Green Transport, Diversity and Technology that Hilda Rømer Christensen, a colleague of mine from University of Copenhagen, did in 2002, 2003, together with 10 Danish municipalities. Also, I will talk about the work we did with the more alternative ways of disseminating the project results. So the project objectives were those I listed here: to develop a course to employees within the transport environment and planning areas in Danish municipalities, to increase knowledge about how green initiatives can meet and change the transport habits and mobility needs of different groups of citizens, to contribute to a more sustainable, inclusive, and equal transport system by incorporating different groups into strategies and initiatives. The municipalities that were involved in the project, I located them here at a map. They were located most around the capital region, but also 4 around in Jutland. To show you a figure showing you the development model of the project. The project had several living labs with the municipalities to collect knowledge on their work, but also to connect to the existing strategies and objectives around transportation. And the main delivery was an educative course targeting the municipalities. Also, as part of the project, we mapped the different transport modes in Danish municipalities, not only the 10, but also broader. We don't have numbers from all municipalities, but you can see here the distribution of transport modes, where Copenhagen showing significant differences from the rest of the municipalities. Also, we did a mapping of the city councils in terms of diversity. This is an example of the climate and environment councils in 2 municipalities. Ishøj, which was part of the project, it's a city in the capital region, and Fredericia, which was not part of the project, but is in the southeastern part of Jutland. Fredericia numbers are closer to what we generally see in these technical councils, but there are variations, as you can also see in Ishøj, where you have significant more women, for example, and also more with the ethnic minority background. So in a dissemination, we work with an indicator of gender smart mobility, which we developed in another project called Tingo, which was a project on gender and diversity in smart mobility solutions. And this indicator contains 5 dimensions, which we use to develop guidelines for policy and planning of inclusive transport. The dimensions are affordable transport, saying transport is not smart if people cannot afford to use it. Prices must be adjusted for all forms of transport, including public transport and cycling, as well as for assistive devices such as walkers and special bicycles. Effective transport, another dimension, saying the transport system must be effective for different types of journeys and users. Smart modes of transport must accommodate both work and care trips and take into account different age groups, gender, class, and disabilities. And attractive transport. The design, form, and function of the transport system must be attractive to a broad group of citizens, also in terms of safety and comfort. An attractive transport system is flexible and adaptable to the needs and wishes of the users. And then sustainable transport. A central element of smart transport is environmental sustainability. Smart transport must not negatively impact the environment and aims to reduce CO2 emissions. And together we called, or these were the dimension in an inclusive transport system, saying an inclusive transport system builds on all 4 dimensions and is inclusive in the sense that it combats discrimination and inequalities in the transport system and accommodates all population groups with a special focus on the vulnerable. These dimensions are meant as reflection points where you go through each when you do policy and planning in the transport section. To turn to the dissemination of the project, we try to think of alternative ways of disseminating the results, that is alternative in relation to what you usually do at the university, where you publish reports and articles, but we know that people working in the practical field of transport might not really read these, at least not in Denmark. So what we did was to publish what we call an inspirational guide for Danish municipalities, building on these dimension of the indicator of gender smart transport, and also having hands-on approaches, good examples, and recommendations. And then, together with a branding agency, we made 5 short videos for municipalities taking part in the project, talked about their work on inclusive and green transport solution. And I would like to show you one of them, which is from Herning. This is a city in central Jutland, and I will just stop sharing and see if I can share the video. Okay. It's it's in Danish, but with English subtitles, so I hope you can follow.
Vi er jo bevidste om nu inden for transportsektoren, at mange beslutninger bliver taget på et ret højt plan af dem, jeg kalder de lyseblå skjorter. Og hvis vi skal ændre det, så tror jeg, vi skal længere ned i det operative lag, altså hvor det for eksempel er nogen på mit niveau, hvor der sidder direkte og arbejder med driften af den kollektive trafik i det daglige. Det er mig, borgerne henvender sig til, det er mig, chaufførerne henvender sig til, det er mig, ledelsen fra de busfirmaer, der kører, henvender sig til, hvis de er udfordringer på en eller anden måde. Så jeg tænker, at der er et behov for på en eller anden måde at få et netværk landsdækkende på operativt niveau, men gerne med deltagelse af nogle politikere, fordi det er jo ligesom dem, der har pengene. Altså i hvert fald beslutter, hvad penge skal bruges til. Altså jeg er ikke i tvivl om, at der skal flere kvinder ind i de netværk, og sjovt nok, når jeg sådan lige kigger rundt, så på mit niveau, der er der faktisk rigtig mange kvinder. Men på det øverste niveau, der er der bare rigtig mange mænd, og der skal ske et eller andet der, tænker jeg, en udveksling af på en eller anden facon. Eller i hvert fald nogle mænd, der lytter lidt mere til det, der bliver sagt nedefra. Vi skulle have vores bybusser i udbud, og valget var, at de skulle være på el, og det var jo en ny teknologi i Herning og også i Danmark. Men vi gik et skridt videre, fordi vi faktisk havde ligesom nedlagt et form for servicetilbud, der havde været, hvor der var lidt mere tid i køreplanerne, sådan at man kunne have kørestolsbrugere med, men rampen for at komme ind i bussen var manuelt betjent, så hver gang så skulle chaufføren bruge tid på at gå ud og få den der rampe ned, få kørestolsbrugeren ind og spænde kørestolsbrugeren fast i bussen. Og det fik rigtig mange klager fra dem, der havde været vant til at bruge de servicebusser, og især kørestolsbrugere, for nu havde de slet ikke noget tilbud, de skulle bruge taxa. Så vi tænkte, kan man lave noget, hvor de er mere selvbetjent i busserne? Og det var vi så undersøgende på, og vi har et handicapråd her i Herning Kommune, og dem inviterede vi ind til en dialog, og vi har en virksomhed der laver biler til handicappede, og dem havde vi også inviteret om, de måtte have en teknologi, vi kunne bruge. Og de kom tilbage og havde fundet på markedet et koncept, der var brugbart. Så vi lagde en option ind i vores udbudsprocedure, hvor vi sagde, at vi ville sætte stor pris på, hvis det tilbud også indeholdt, at der var automatisk fastspænding af kørestole i de busser, vi fik leveret. Og der var vi heldige, at der var et firma, der leverede til en god pris en elbus med monteret den teknologi, som kan gøre, at man bliver automatisk fastspændt i kørestolene. Da vi havde vores gamle servicebuskoncept, der havde vi taget nogle stikprøver, der var der i gennemsnit 8 kørestolsbrugere med i vores busser om ugen. Nu har vi taget stikprøver nogle gange, og vi ligger i gennemsnit omkring de 60-65 kørestolsbrugere om ugen i vores busser. Så det vil vi sige, at det er blevet en succes. I alle beslutninger omkring transport og vejanlæg og sådan nogle ting, der kunne jeg godt tænke mig, at man prioriterer de bløde trafikanter, altså cyklende og gående, væsentligt mere. Og jeg kunne også godt tænke mig, at vi får en mere bilfri centrum af Herning. Et drømmescenarie er i hvert fald, at vi får flere omvendt. Altså vi får flere til at lave en anden vanetænkning, end det de har i dag. At folk kigger lidt mere ud i horisonten, når de skal tage et transportvalg. Det kunne jeg virkelig godt tænke mig.
Can you see my slides again?
Yes, we can.
That was the film from Herning, and if you go, I don't know if I can share my slides, or I can send you a link to the project webpage where you can see all 5 movies or videos, and you can also download the inspirational guides both in Danish and English. So what we also did was to turn to gamification, that is the use of game elements in context not related to gaming. Research shows that games are effective tools for involvement, responsibility, engagement in learning processes, as well as cognitive and behavioral changes. This is due to gaming being an active method that invites participants, dialogue, mutual learning, as well as joint reflection. And this potential applies to both physical and digital games. So we wanted to explore the use of learning games in this area of gender diversity and green transportation, with the ambition to develop a research-based game designed to promote knowledge and understanding of the population's diverse mobility needs and transport patterns, and to provide knowledge and insights while playing the game, and to target everyone who works with or is interested in transport and mobility. So we developed 2 board games and started testing the prototypes at various settings, and we tested and revised and tested again and revised again and tested, and we did that in 2 rounds. First round was tested Vellig, it's a folk school in Denmark, Concito, which is a think tank on climate. We also tested among students in Denmark, and then Hilda tested this one in China, Beijing, at the SDC, which is cooperation between 7 Danish universities and 1 university in Beijing. And then second round was tested. The game was tested at the Knowledge Center on Disability in Denmark, the Danish Cyclist Federation, Danish Road Directorate, Blocks Up Mobility Network, and among colleagues. So we had 2 editions or 2 games. One of them was called Green Transport and Diversity Ludo, The context is mainly Europe, but also China, and the game is in English. So it contains question cards, reflection cards, and cards on transport modalities, that is biking, cycling, public transport, and car driving. And the idea is that it's an eye-opening game which invites for dialogue and reflection among those who play the game, and introduce the theme of gender and diversity into this area. The second game is targeting Denmark, or the context is Denmark, and it's in Danish. And it has a bit different question cards, reflection cards, and then it has cards on mobility of care and disabilities, meaning that you draw a card which tells you that you have become a parent, and you are walking around with the stroller and cannot access the train or something like that. And then you have to move back. And then the diversity game, the last one I showed you, that was funded by an innovation center called Lighthouse at the University of Copenhagen, which supports research-based entrepreneurship that attempts to make an actual difference in society. And I worked at the University of Copenhagen the last 20 years. And while I have been in touch with many institutions and organizations outside the academia, there's very little time as a researcher to provide any solid help, besides telling them that they can read your publications. So together with a colleague, I founded the consultancy very recently. It's called Diversities, to spend some of my time helping the sectors towards actual change. And this also comes from seeing that it is really difficult for people working in the sector to work with gender and diversity, as most of the guidelines and strategies out there, which there are bunches of, but they're very generic and they are very little context specific, and it's very difficult for people to work with them if they are not specialized within gender and diversity. And all these guidelines simply gets lost in translation. So we aim to get a little bit more hands-on doing this diversities company. That was all for me. You are welcome to contact me.
Thank you so much, Michala. Unfortunately, we are a bit tight with time. So if you have questions for Michala, please put it in the chat, and maybe Michala, you can answer them there. Or if you get a question afterwards, we can include your questions to Michala via email. So feel free to reach out to us or write in the chat. So I will share my screen now. And I really like the video, Michala, because it really showed how the two topics that we addressed in our project are brought together. It's the careers, to have women in all levels of management and levels of working stages, enough women to bring in the diverse perspectives, because as the lady said, the higher management, unfortunately, is mainly male dominated. So we addressed it also, the leaky pipeline webinar, especially, and some of the offline events that looked at how can we make sure that women can stay on the career pathway and be then available when senior jobs come into question. So now I will share my screen again. To share the window. So now we get some insights from the partners. Let's maybe start with ITS Finland. Sunny, would you like to share shortly in 3 minutes your experiences, and also if you have any comments about the Congress, you feel free to share.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Piret. Yeah, I guess my comments from this project is that this was actually a great push for keeping to develop this women in ITS approach or format for ITS Finland. This is something that we have also been doing in Finland previously, hosting women in ITS events to really get more women involved. And there was a slight break that we had to take from it. And now this spring, we due to this project, we arranged another event, which was actually very well received. And there is now already continuity and requests to have these events, and we are starting to plan the next one for the fall of 25 this spring already. So yeah, that has been a good experience, definitely. And one thing that I wanted to share from the ITS European Congress that we had, that we have now come home from Seville, is that it was actually really great to see how many women from the networks of ITS organizations of the Nordics and Baltics actually took part in this Congress. And the kind of gender balance between the average Congress attendees and what was on the Nordic Plus pavilion, as an example, was totally different. So yeah, don't know the percentage of how many women was actually on the stand and from the organizations participating on the stand, but it was you could see it with your eyes, and I believe that keeping this like discussion ongoing and this subject ongoing in our networks, it will pay off. And there will be women will take more part in the activities that we do, and therefore hopefully like get a sense of belonging in this community in mobility. So I think that was a great kind of thing to see, that the women have found this event as well and were able to participate. So I think those were my 2 minutes.
But what was your event topic? Because we had this mix of some focused on the career and the gender gap in senior job, and some of us focused on the urban mobility, design, technology, and planning.
Yeah, the focus of our event was EU regulation and mobility, and that's a very timely topic in Finland currently. So we had 2 organizations sharing their experiences, how to influence the EU regulation and what's being done in the respects of aviation and maritime in Finland. And that was kind of the professional part of the event. And then followed by the presentations, we had a short discussion about career and mobility for women. So we tried to include both angles in the event.
Thank you for sharing. So maybe next one could be ITS Iceland. Anna, would you like to share a little bit about what your event was, and then also what insights from the event?
Yep. Hi. Here in Iceland, maybe the problem that everything is it's very homogeneous group. They're like in the transport engineering or in the transport sector. There's like no immigrants. It's only in the we had this event that was diversity in design and process professionals. We had there were 16 people who showed up in person. There were 30 something people online. Everybody was white. It was very mixed, women and male, but it was all of them were Icelandic born and no immigrants or nothing. So very homogeneous group. So that's like maybe the problem has to start much lower. It has to start in the children's schools to get the immigrants to come to universities. So that's like the main problem. But then then we were talking about what's like the main problem for us now, and that's how fast we are aging, and the diversity we have to design for the people, older people, so they can keep on moving when they get older. And that's like our biggest challenge, to keep people moving, because if they experience hindrances in moving, then they stop moving, they stop going out, and then they stop being able to move. So it's a cycle that we have to do as much as we can to stop. So yeah, and I asked the group who was there, but again, it was a very homogeneous group, and most people were working in the engineering offices or in the for the road transportations or the cities or something. So I asked them if they had experienced the leaky pipeline here in Iceland, and the answer was no. It was just there are very many women in the field, at least in the road sector. But when you look at aviation or sea, that's a totally different thing. And there are very few women in those sectors. So maybe we have to start to like focus more on that, especially there's more women in aviation, but in the sea sector there's like almost no women, either as a designer or as just working in the there are hardly any women that are sea captains, for example. So yeah. So it's like, yeah, what we were talking about in our event.
Yeah, thank you. And it's also, I think it was clear from the first project as well that you mentioned that you do not see the same challenges in Iceland than, for example, in Denmark or Norway or Sweden, that there is some differentiation or like a different context. So this is really, really interesting. Thank you for sharing. We do not have ITS Estonia and ITS Norway today here, but we will get their input. We have Jenny that was in ITS Congress, but Ragnhild, who was part of the project in longer term, she could not participate. Jenny, I don't know if you have any comments about the ITS Congress, because you were representing ITS Norway there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Jenny Simonsen from ITS Norway. Been partly taking part of this project on the side, so I've been following, and we had a workshop earlier this year. Not many attended. Was a bit disappointed about that, because I wanted at least more young people and men also to attend. So going back and looking at it, we could do a bit more marketing and communication around it, better marketing and communication, and maybe not only like it's a gender question, but it's like a question that involves us all when it comes to education, and bring more young people into the mobility sector, because we see this an issue. And that reflects, also echoing what Sunny said, the ITS World Congresses or the European Congresses. And I've been quite critical to Ertico and the others there, saying that we need to bring more young people, because these are old men pushing 50. It's a great club. They meet every year and they have fun and they talk to each other and pat each other's back. However, we see, and good and very good. We see an increase of women attending. At the Nordic Pavilion, many more women than previously, like Sunny said. Also it's been better also in the special interest sessions, in the high level sessions, that they include women, not just as a moderator, but also in the panels. And this is my kind of Achilles heel, and I also said that at our session where you show the picture from, is that we all need to push each other above the glass ceiling, both men and women, to push young and women forward into the sector, and actually take part in projects, own sessions, dare to be on stage, and push them there. Because I think if we encourage more, we can see more women becoming more visible, if you understand what I mean, because there are women in these sectors, but they're not visible because they kind of maybe not there. They maybe not think they have the knowledge, but they do. It was interesting to hear from Iceland about the seaside. On the maritime sector, yes, maritime captains are maybe not that many, but on the technology side, we see an increase, and we have quite a few women on the technology side. So on all the multimodal levels, we see an increase in women. But I think we can do more in this project. Going further down the line is about on the communication side, and there we have to take actually a big hit and say we could do better, and see that this thematic approach should interest more than just women in order to get a bigger outreach. I'm just a quick one, is like standardization. Now, when I talk about, or whenever anyone talks about standards, everyone falls asleep like immediately because they're so boring, but it's so essential. And we see that we need more women, more young people into the world of standardization, because that's a very aging group. So there are areas that we know we could and we should focus on together. So yeah, that was basically my take. It was a little bit of everything, but we arrived quite late from ITS Europe yesterday. Sunny to Finland and me as well. So if it doesn't really cohere with what you're thinking, then I'm sorry about it. But I think you got the main points. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny. Definitely, that sounds like a very, very good summary of your experience. And also, we knew that there was a webinar or like a get-together in Brussels a few months before the Congress, where they said, how can we avoid manels? So there was actually ITS Congress themselves are very aware of this challenge themselves. They made, I don't know what the results were, but we noticed that they had a special event about it, that how could they ensure more diversity in their panels. And in EIT Urban Mobility, we also, with this event, we were also very aware that how can we avoid womenels? So only women in panels. And that's another challenge when we talk about gender and inclusive design, that we have challenges getting male speakers to the panel. So it's like it's finding this good balance on how to design for also kind of audience interest. So, but before we close this webinar, basically we already felt like with these two projects, new collaborations started to emerge, new opportunities to then write projects where we could address this topic in a deeper way or from different perspective. We actually sent in an application for the Gender Equality Fund again, but we don't know the answer, but the idea emerged because we brought these people together. So we hope to continue collaborate with all the organizations here, also our colleagues and guests who came to this webinar. Please let us know if you have some interesting concepts in mind. Maybe we can continue collaborating and seek funding and even do it outside the Nordics, across Europe, because we do have international guests here too. But then maybe, Julia, if you have some final words, otherwise we'll send you a lot of info with an email.
Thank you. I just thought it was very interesting what you said, Jenny, because I think that what was not maybe explicitly said here was that if women are at the Congress, that's a good thing, but they also need to be experts in what they are doing. So they have to be part of the panel. They can't only be the moderator. So I just think it's very important to see the power relations here as well, and giving women, because they are very competent, the space to talk at these conferences and congresses. It's very important too. So I think that's a very good thing. But I think we have a lot of things to work with here, and I'm happy to see so many people listening, and I hope that we can stay updated even in the future. So
thank you so much. I see there are actually some comments and invitations to connect, so we will definitely follow up on that. And Anna Lucia is asking, are there aspects of projects that could be replicated elsewhere in Europe? Definitely. I think Anna Lucia, she's our colleague from EIT Urban Mobility. Definitely, we have some ideas. Actually, also some of these events that could be then a series of events where different cultures and contexts could bring forward some insights. So let's explore it together.